Man, I got you a gift, man.
You did. You got me the mask.
And I got you another gift.
What'd you get me this time?
You see it, man. I got you a mic a gift, man.
Man, you done set the bar.
No.
I'm trying to think of what I
No, don't think about it like that.
I had you something picked
Don't.
out. No, but listen, I had you something picked out at the beach, right? And I had some socks for you
Uh-huh.
because I know you like socks, and
Yeah.
I was getting. So she was like, "Oh, here we go." My bad. No, you're good.
I don't think I can hear myself. Yep. Barber College Success. Brought to you by Craig Charles of Crown Cutz Academy, JC, Crown Cutz Academy, Bristol, and Craig Crown Cutz, downtown JC. With my guest, can't wait to hear this episode. He said he can't wait to hear what I got to say.
Hey, Ammi Fields, am I your barber in Marion, Virginia? I'm excited to hear what happened to Craig this weekend. I wouldn't even let me tell you. I wanted him to tell everybody.
This is going to be the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
But Barber College Success, a podcast for any listener out there who's into this industry, who's looking for an upgrade, looking for some insight, looking for some knowledge on anything barbering, anything how to be, any way how to become successful, any way how to leverage yourself. In life, you want pluses, not minuses. And I guarantee you, on this show, it's all about pluses. We teach you and let you listen to our great interview skills and our great guests and teach you how to earn the crown in this industry, whether it be barbering, cosmetology, nails, aesthetics, anything in the cosmetology department, massage, yoga. I mean, I think it's the same avenue, but we call it Barber College Success because barbering is our expertise. What do you think, my guest? Introduce yourself.
Ammi Fields, yeah, it's what we do, man. And anybody that's just trying to be an entrepreneur, I think there's a lot on here for anybody that's just trying to go in business for themselves, whether it's barbering, you want to weld, you want to be Lathan. What Lathan does is awesome. So.
Trucking company.
Yeah.
I think it's just important to kind of start off with something. And when I originally started this podcast, I didn't know it was going to explode and get to this point where it's top 25 in the country and the world of barber content. And
yes, you did. You had it inside you. You felt it. You go feel it.
I mean, as of anything I do, I always do it for the love. Mm-hmm. It's something that I like to do that's going to give me fun, enjoyment. Just give me purpose in life. Just give me a sense of just being a part of something. So it wasn't set out to be like, oh, it's going to explode and be the best. But I know the energy and the effort I put into things. I guess that's the first part. When come to think of it, that's the first part of it. When you put energy into something and the energy that you have is goodwill and trying to be positive and trying to show some love, I guess that's where it begins and evolve.
I'd say 99.9% of the time.
Yeah.
100% almost. You're going to be there.
But today, before we talk about towards the end of the show, we'll talk about towards the end of the show what I did this weekend. But I want to talk about working in the shop, just being a barber, just working in the shop.
It's funny. I'm just now really getting to where like I'm so focused on what I'm doing that like the students are separate almost. Like I'm seeing what they're doing that's different. And yeah, there's some downtime in the shop.
I mean, but the thing is, you see it from like a 360 view, and you're kind of understanding that everybody start out have these different ideas and where they want to go, where they want to be. And by the time you get through a barber school, your thoughts and your process kind of have developed and molded into a position where you're like, man, okay, I can do this now. I can do this with confidence, and I could be more than just a barber.
Yeah, and there's different avenues for that. There's a lot of different ways you can go. I mean, and sometimes it's okay if you just want to just cut hair sometimes.
And that's what the show's about. It's okay to be okay just to being a master barber in someone else's shop.
Feels good. Yeah. Sometimes it feels good to just be able to go to work, get paid, and go home. And that's a great feeling.
I mean, it's easy. It's a good life. It's no stress. Because you have to think about, do you want this responsibility of being a shop owner? Do you want this responsibility of just having to pay all the bills? Do you want the responsibility of having to think about the insurance? Do you think you want the responsibility of having to
turnover?
turnover,
having employees,
thinking about the toilet paper, thinking about the getting down to the cleaning supplies, just thinking about who's going to clean the shop, who you going to pay to do this, who's going to do the marketing. Sometimes just as easy as to wake up, go to work, cut hair, have a good conversation, and make some great money.
And then you still create while you do that.
Yes.
And I seen my brother-in-law, he opened the shop that we work at now, and I kind of seen the grind that went into it, and all the effort that it takes to keep a shop going. And I'm kind of glad I haven't taken that on yet.
And it's an accomplishment which makes you feel good.
Of course.
Your subconscious mind makes your subconscious mind feel good and makes you feel good as well. But I think it's something that you have to carefully think about because there's a lot that goes into that.
And you've talked me off the edge a couple times. I was ready to go ahead and build some giant shop and throw all my money in it and go into debt and just to have a place to cut without even thinking about all the other possibilities that go into it. And I'm glad I didn't, because now I feel like, everything that's happened in my life recently, I've gotten a chance to breathe, and I couldn't imagine adding the stress of opening a business and dealing with that on top of everyday life right now.
Right. And shop hopping doesn't help you either.
No, I mean, it's the same thing. It might be a different building, it might be new clients, but at the same time, you're still in the same environment. And if you can't survive in that environment, it doesn't matter where you go.
Yep. Important. It's important. Because I know some barbers who dip shops like 3, 4, 5, 6 different shops, and thinking that every shop they go to is going to be better for them. There's some circumstances where you can move shop, where you should. If it's not working, if you can't get along with your employees, the shop is not bringing no income. But those things you have to do in advance to find out the dynamics of the shop.
Exactly.
Get to know the owner. Get to know the walk-in traffic. Get to know if it's booth rent commission. Get to know what the walk-in traffic is. Do you guys just do strictly appointments and sell into a point where you're marketable enough where you can make money?
And also, I mean, if you're shop hopping, if you're going to shop after shop, ain't no way those relationships are all ending well. If you're going from shop, and then you build a reputation for yourself, and reputation, it might just be, you might think, oh, I'm in the city, I can go here, but you go to south side, north side, but eventually your reputation is going to follow you, especially if you're keeping the same clientele.
Yep, it's important. And I just want to talk to that student out there who is thinking, their thought process is, hey, I want to go into this industry, live good, have a good name, put some savings up, acquire some good income, and just live really good. Because as a barber, you can leave out the shop making sometimes $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 a week.
And you're the breadwinner. You're the one taking care of the family. And your spouse might not even have to work.
And all you have to worry about is paying that booth rent or that commission, which typically is about 20% of what you make, 15%, 15 to 20%. Some shops are 30, 40.
And that's the price of doing business. That's just part of the game. Whether it's, like you said, commission or booth rent, it all averages out to about the same. So, I mean, you got to figure out what you want.
But how to market yourself, now that's the key. You have to think about how to market yourself. How do you make yourself more valuable when you're leaving school to go into a shop? What are things that you can do?
Making yourself more valuable, getting as much information out of what you're doing before you leave, so you don't turn down any services.
Right.
And that'll always help you get your chair full. I think exposure is really important.
Right.
I think getting yourself out there, participating in school functions or participating in fundraisers, things like that might not seem, it might be an investment on your part, but at the same time, you're getting your face and self out there for people to see you and know what you're doing and bring in clientele to yourself.
And you're thinking that you're not getting the return right away.
No, and it's not the S word. We don't say the S word. It's an investment.
It's an investment.
And sometimes that can be tiring and exhausting, but I think a wise person thinks about the long term and not the short term.
Yes.
Short term person says, man, I ain't trying to do that. I ain't going.
What's the S word?
Sacrifice.
We don't use that. We don't use that.
I saw Lathan trembling over there.
We don't use that. We don't use that. We use the word, instead of sacrifice, we replace that with investment. You're investing in yourself. You're putting that work into yourself. That's important.
That's everything.
I think that's valuable.
And especially, and if you do have downtime in a shop, and you feel like, man, is it I think every barber has that one feeling like, man, what did I do wrong? I done said something to somebody, and you're like, man, what happened to this client? So and so supposed to be here, but everybody has a slow time in the shop eventually. And if you have a slow time in the shop and you're wondering what you can do better, start putting more effort into whatever else it is in marketing or whatever, and then your cup runneth over.
Yeah. Build your clientele list. Write their names down. Write their address. Write their email address. Write their birth dates.
Birthdays.
You know what I mean? Birthdays. You know what I mean? So you can send them a little thank you note saying, "Hey, happy birthday! Really appreciate you just patronizing my business." For Christmas, say, "Hey, thank you, Merry Christmas to you and your family." Little things like that help.
Everything.
Yeah. So being able to market yourself on that manner when there's downtime, that's important. Because you think when there's downtime, there's nothing else to do, but there's so much to do. You can grab a mannequin, you can practice.
I was thinking about the birthday thing. Like, I hate going to the dentist, but for some reason, and I'm not even making this up. For some reason, when I get that little card that says, "Hey, am I? You ready to get your teeth cleaned?" I'm like, maybe I am. And I'm excited about it, but at the same time, I still hate it.
Their personal touch.
Yeah,
Their personal touch is amazing. People underestimate that, and you can start with those personal touches in school to set yourself apart. Because I know from experience as being an instructor, a lot of students don't like setting themselves apart. They just want to do the bare minimum, come into the building, and just be a cutter.
Well, they're afraid to stand out because when they stand out, people start pointing out imperfections.
Right.
But everybody has imperfections.
I had a student. He posted a picture this Saturday, and the picture was he's in the shop, and the picture was inconclusive. The haircut wasn't really finished, and I was contemplating of should I text him and let him know what he should do different. But as an instructor and someone who loves the industry, I sent him a message, and I sent him a message thinking like, man, he might take it personal.
Yeah, I think about that stuff.
You know what I mean? But when I showed him the picture that he posted, and I showed him what to do, he's like, oh man, I thought about that. I looked at that picture. Thank you. Appreciate the feedback.
My dad always says, speak the truth in love.
Yeah.
Whenever you do that, whenever you not criticizing, whenever you're giving advice in a loving manner, a caring manner,
Right.
then it's going to be well received. And if it isn't, that person probably doing something.
And he understood why I called him, and because I know as a new barber in the shop with experienced barbers, your thought process is you want to work as fast as them and you want to keep up with them, but that's not fair to you.
I felt like that, especially in my apprenticeship. Look, and the client's thinking because they watching. For me, it was like, man, this dude did two haircuts, and I'm still in the chair.
Yeah,
so
but that's good. Take your time and build and grow. Take your time, build and grow. Get to know the personnel in the shop. Get to know your barbers. Get to know the clientele. Get to know your skill. Slow it down. And a lot of times, the mistake that barbers make, they just go so fast.
Yeah.
And instead of just like taking your time, taking a deep breath, walking away and coming back, if you feel embarrassed to ask another barber in the shop for some help, stop, take a deep breath, walk away and come back.
I think anybody in this industry that I have personally met has been more than helpful in me anytime I had questions. And even in this industry, a lot of the guys that seem like they're inaccessible
right.
Are really very easy to get a hold of. I was speaking to one guy, Taylor Fade Trevor, and I was asking about coming on the podcast, and he's like, he's like, you want my information? I'm like, yeah, let me get your number. I was like, you probably changed it, 3 or 4 times. He's like, no, same number since I had since high school. So,
that's good.
Yeah,
you don't realize that people are accessible.
Yeah,
all this is the conversation and a question, and just be able to be confident enough to ask someone for help.
I think barbers are some of the most confident people in the world. Like, you have to be. I think you have to be confident to greet somebody, meet new people, and give 100% of your effort to somebody that you've never met before or don't know what they're thinking, and try to create something great for them.
I think that grows over time because you almost have to, because people will not patronize you if you don't act like you appreciate their business. So I think it's because there's a lot of barbers too who are really shy, and what they do, they're on their phone or they have their headphones on listening to music, which is a total no-no.
Yeah.
You can't grow your business like that.
So you're saying that even if you aren't a sociable person, that you can learn that skill by being put in there. Like somebody would learn a new language, you put them in a different country, eventually they'll start picking up the language.
Right. Because naturally someone's going to come in there who's a talker, and they're going to ask you questions because they are a talker because they're trying to get comfortable to know if you know what you're doing with your tools,
or just knowing you.
Just knowing you. And people will kind of find their way strategically and smart. People will find their way to see if you're comfortable in your skill, what you're doing. So a lot of times, after a while, you get there so many times, you don't have a choice now but to reciprocate the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And then you gotta get some of the same questions over and over again, so you kind of know how to answer it over time differently
I
in a
ask a lot of
roundabout way.
questions.
Right.
I still, and even just about people, like I'll forget stuff. Like the students they get mad at me because I ask them where they work at, and I don't
I
ever
mean,
remember where they work.
I mean,
They all work in different
but just
places.
being a barber, conversations is something that rules the nation. When you're a barber, you have to make someone feel comfortable
Mhm.
when they're in your chair.
Some people they feel comfortable just not talking,
That's true.
and I appreciate those
Of
clients.
course.
We both can sit here and not talk because I'm gonna talk to the next person.
Right. But that's rare. And that's a good thing about staying in the shop and going to work in the shop, because over time you learn how to build those qualities up. You're giving yourself time to build those qualities up, build those relationships, because your network is your net worth.
I think the number one thing I had to learn over time that I didn't just pick up in a shop was how to handle my money.
Right.
Um, you got people like Ryan that go in it and they're already business savvy and they know
Yep.
what to do with it. But for me, it was like I was learning as an apprentice, and the guy that I was learning from wasn't really.
Right.
He was putting it in his pocket,
And
and then spending it or whatever. And I
and
really had to break that
and,
habit.
and luckily Ryan came from a different perspective. Ryan was someone changing career,
Mhm.
who was a teacher at a high school in the teaching financial literacy. So that has helped him as he's going into his barber career.
And then you got the business degree.
Right.
Mhm.
So you have to go out and be in a situation to ask those type of questions to your instructors, to the school owner when you go into an interview for the school.
Mhm.
And even ask when you get into opportunity to go into a shop. That's something you want to be able to model and have the owner of the shop or have someone, a manager of shop, sit and talk to you about, hey, what do you guys do about taxes? What do you guys do about do you have any suggestions on how I should handle my money starting out? Building those relationships, and from shop hopping, it's hard to kind of build those relationships.
I mean, I just think about those people are probably just they're burning bridges anyways. I mean, with shop hopping, they're just not happy anywhere. But I will say that it took time for me to figure out the money thing, and I'm happy that I'm learning now, and I'm so
It's a
interested.
process.
And when you figure it out, the whole money thing, it really gives you another sense of freedom
Yep.
to know that you're handling. You know where all your money's going, and you know what you're dealing with, and
Investing.
yeah, and you should. And also, I think you should promote the shop that you're at.
Of course.
Uh, Regardless if you're new there and you think you might be there for temporarily, but you should still promote the shop.
Some barbers' thought process is so skewed. Their thought process is thinking is, well, I'm just going to promote me because I'm working in the shop.
Mm-hmm.
You working in the shop, so you have to promote the shop too as well. You have to build the shop up, build yourself up, but build the shop up as well too. You can do both of them. You can't just highlight yourself and say, well, this is Mark touchdown barber. And where you working at, touchdown barber? Where you working at? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have to go into it like you want someone to treat your shop when you have a shop one day.
And then everybody can eat together because
Everybody can
if
eat
you have
together.
overflow or you got a day off, you
You
can
can,
just hook somebody up. It don't
yeah.
hurt. I mean, they're gonna get a haircut for somebody. Might as well be in your shop.
So the thought process of some barbers, man, it just kind of. But I guess that's from not being organized in your thought process and having a game plan going in. And you can go into, if you tell a shop owner, hey, I'm only going to be here 2 months, 3 months, they might not hire you. Be honest. Be honest with your feelings. Be honest with yourself. If you tell, hey, you know what? I have aspirations of opening a shop one day, but I can give you 2 years. Be honest and give that best 2 years of your life in that shop, because if you hope to have employees, you want that to be reciprocated.
And I think sometimes it could be for me. I had a lot of bad habits that I got from just working around guys that had bad habits in the industry.
Yes.
Like some of it, I didn't realize was bad until I got off to myself and was like, I need to focus and do better on this.
Right.
It had my own epiphany just from being around successful people and learning. But I mean, sometimes it might be the fault of people that they've learned from.
Yeah.
But I mean, the moral compass should always point north, in my opinion. So you
Yes.
should know what the right thing to do is.
Of course. And if you feel that you're in a situation that it's not working, I mean, then you have some conversations with people who you in the industry who you see is working for, and ask them, what can you do differently?
Or maybe you're just in the wrong platform. Maybe it is time for you to go travel and meet other people and do your thing. I mean, sometimes, or maybe even it's time for you to open a shop. I mean, who knows?
The more and more I hear you say it, Ammi, when you talk about just doing something besides cutting hair makes it worthwhile. I started thinking about that when you said that, and I felt it, but I started thinking about it more, how it just makes it so much worthwhile. Where coming to the podcast, that's part of the barbering industry that we're
Hmm.
part of. Being an instructor, that's part of the barbering industry that we're part of. And then also cutting. It just makes it so much more worthwhile because you're being around people in so many different perspectives in the same industry.
Yeah, I really feel like it's such a I feel like the range is so far now with just this, um, being at the school, cutting in the shop. I feel like my reach is so much bigger,
Mhm.
and I just want to be positive and reach out and touch other people with that. And it's just that's a more of a blessing to me than just giving you a great haircut.
Right.
Being able to touch people in a positive way and be encouraging, whether it's people that are cutting hair,
Mhm.
cosmetologists, or students, I can just be encouraging to them.
And because we get so stagnated sometimes,
Hmm.
where we just look like straight ahead.
Hmm.
And I understand we want so much more. We want different things, but we're looking straight ahead. In order to get more and see certain things, you have to open up your blindness.
Yes.
You have to look both ways. You have to look straight ahead. You have to look behind you.
And it's hard when you first start cutting hair because I remember the only thing on my mind was cutting hair and building clientele.
Right.
And then, I almost had to get a shook in a way, that a way that something happened and it shook me. I was like, hold on, let me look up and see what's going on. Okay, I am blessed and it is getting a little bigger. And I need to focus more on everything going around me because, just putting my head down is making me ignorant to the rest of the stuff.
Yes.
And I'm neglecting parts of my business that I didn't even know. And that's what made me grow. Once I was able to look up and be like, okay, this is a whole organization here.
And that's options of just working in the shop,
Mhm.
staying in the shop and working in the shop. You give yourself options when you say, maybe I want to be an instructor. Be an instructor 1 day a week, 2 days a week, and then you can still work in the shop.
And man, and that's a blessing just to have an instructor's license and know. I actually went by my local trade school to check out their program,
Uh-huh.
and they're like, "Man, you could be." And I'm like, "No, thank you. I'm already an instructor up
Right.
here." But it was just such a blessing to know that there's more career opportunities for myself. I'm
Yep.
not limited, and if there's ever a time that I am tired of being behind a chair,
Yep.
I can go teach in a school,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that's a blessing. That's like almost like a retirement.
Open up your option
Exactly.
because you broaden your horizon, you building your network, which increases your net worth. And I mean, it's amazing when you could do something like that. I mean, I just thankful that I could come in here every day and just think about it. Like, man, why was I just thinking so secular when I was younger in this barbering industry? But the thing was, I wasn't really branched on getting into mentors, being around other people in the industry. I was just thinking about
Well, and I appreciate you allow me to be on this platform and to break up my day has just helped me grow so much. And I think that honestly, if I just stayed cutting hair for myself personally, it might have got old.
right,
But being these little things and increase and learn how to grow myself, I think is the biggest thing because I was able to see what was possible. And then I could say, okay, if I wanted to do this, I can do this.
right,
Or if I wanted to do this, I could do this. And then I could find different avenues to go with it and just create for myself is
and we're not telling people don't have aspiration of owning your own shop. Don't go in and look to try to open your own business. I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's enough out there for all of us. Don't try to put yourself in a situation that you can't. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Take your time. You come out of school, go in the shop.
and there's two things and there's one thing that I know that really kind of opened my eyes and I'm talking to you and Micah. I remember one of the things Micah said, I was like, Micah, how do you know when it's time for you to open your own shop? And he's like, when you know, you'll know.
Right,
And I was like, thank you. And then I really thought about it. And I'm like, am I just doing this because of uh, not secular, but just I wasn't ready. I just wasn't able to tell myself I
I think
wasn't
a lot of
ready.
times it's like an ego thing because everybody look as every business that is open and the man behind this is so successful.
Yeah.
And that's not true because there are a lot of businesses who struggle and fail from somebody open. You have to be strategic how you open your business.
Yeah, and I actually ran into an older gentleman in the town that I grew up in, and he owns a vehicle. He fixes vehicles, and I was asking him, I was like, "So, give me what's what's one thing that I need to know about business?" And he said, "One thing about business is everybody assumes you're rich. If you own your own business, everybody assumes you're rich right there. And he's like, that's one of the most common misconceptions.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And if you can go somewhere and work for someone and build yourself up, that's not a bad option either.
That's what you should do. Honestly, you should you should watch and see what's going on and learn. And you're not going to learn what's going on in a year.
Mm-mm.
You're not going to learn. You didn't even learn how to cut hair the best you could in a year. It's still going to take you more time to grow. So you have to sit back, see what's going on, learn everything, help and promote and take weight off of the shop owner and help him. That way he'll teach you or reciprocate to some of the things that he's taught you.
And the key is, like you just said, not because you own the shop, you're going to make all the money. A lot of barbers make more money than the shop owners.
Mm.
The shop owner still have more responsibility. You might, and if they're not there every day, you're doing the legwork, but you're making all the money too as well.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, especially in barbershops per se.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, guess guys doing really well for themselves, and they clean off their clippers, and they put their stuff up, and they walk out. They ain't got to stay there to make sure the lights are on, that it's clean, or all that stuff.
And there's some barbershops where the barbers don't even sweep up for themselves.
Mm. What a world that is.
Yeah. They don't have. All they have to do is come with their tools. They have to set up no hot towels. Don't do nothing.
Man, that's gotta be nice.
Yeah,
I'm ice skating through hair all day. These dudes get their homes.
Yeah, if you could go to a situation where you could just say make $2,000 a week, that's
a blessing.
That's $6,000, $8,000 a month.
Mm.
I mean, not too many people in this country make that type of money.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's got to be top echelon scale. Claim that though, so they can see it. So when we tell people we barbers, and the average pay is $80,000.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And then if you want to branch out and you can market yourself so much more, you say, hey, you know what? I want to get my instructor license. I want to teach a class on the side. I want to teach this skill that I perfected in the shop. I want to start teaching that. Those are options that you can have as well.
And I think there's a shortage on teachers. I really feel like
there are.
There's so many people with so much to give, and I understand that it's hard to give up clientele or whatever to do that, but the reward for it is so much more. And being able to watch other barbers grow, I think, is a real blessing. To see them go from just picking up a pair of clippers and doing nothing with it to successful is awesome.
We forgot one thing.
What's that?
We talked about instructing. We talked about working in the barbershop. We talked about coming in the podcast. We forgot about the other thing. The
Confess Project.
Yeah, the other thing in barbering that we do.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
That's a whole, yeah.
And that's a big thing,
that's
too.
That's a big thing. Getting to travel and teach barbers about mental health.
Going to different cities. And it's been a blessing. Everybody's received us well.
So many different things that you could do in this industry that when I started, I couldn't even put a picture on. I couldn't even visualize that. I didn't visualize it when I first started cutting hair.
And then, when I went to the hair show in Knoxville, I saw the guys from the Tennessee House of Fades.
Yeah.
I saw all of them, and they recognized me, and it was a blessing to see them there.
Yep. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just that that network that you can have. That's amazing. So I would recommend, I wouldn't say I would recommend, it would be up to you, but if you come out of school, I would say give yourself at least 2 years in the shop.
Unless there is a few situations where there's a gentleman in the shop and he wants to be a barber because there are no barbers at all, and he wants to open a shop. Situations like that. But he still needs to weigh out all the options of why he would do that.
And it's okay if you get to a shop and you stay there 10 years.
Yeah.
It's okay if you go to a shop, you stay there 15 years. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
No. I
mean, you could be strategic and give yourself an opportunity to do other things besides barbering just by working in the shop.
And the guy that works in his shop that came in here with us, Bobby, he does real estate.
Yes.
And that's not a very, I don't say it's difficult to get a real estate license, because it probably is, but from what I understand, Virginia, it's like 600 hours, and you can do that on the side in between appointments, go show a house.
Yep.
I mean, there's just so many possibilities.
Give yourself, open up man, amazing. Yeah. So again, this episode just talking about students coming out of school thinking about opening the shop or working in the shop. There's so much benefits of coming in and learn the trade and learn the skill without putting pressure on yourself. There's so much benefits. Give yourself time to grow. Give yourself time to hone your skills. Give yourself time to just build relationships. And it's okay. You don't have to be the shop owner. You don't have to let that egoistic thing talk to you and be like, hey, me, I'm on top now. I open the shop.
And clients will do that to you sometimes too, because like, and indirectly, just wanting the best from you, wanting to see you grow, and wanting the best for you to be like, hey man,
When you open
so
the
when you
shop.
get your own spot,
And I understand
that happens all the time.
Yeah.
It's probably a guy getting it whispered to their ear right now. So.
It's time to get your own shop. It's time for you to shine, man. You up under him and you making the shop. You make this shop.
How much you pay him a week?
Yeah,
Shoot, you can do your own thing.
Don't listen to that. Don't listen to that. Even if you're paying your booth friend a commission, and your booth friend is typically, some booth friends go to $175 to $250 a week. If you're making, the standard rate in the barbering industry is 70-30. That's the standard rate. So if you're making $1,000, you got to give $300. If you're making $10, you got to give $3. The standard rate is 70-30. But some barber shops out there are generous where they'll be like, booth rent 75, booth rent 100, booth rent 150. But the standard rate typically is 70-30, 60-40 some, but 70-30.
Yeah, and I'm fortunate to be on the lighter end of that, and with that, I feel like I should even give back even more to the shop that I work at and promote it, and not because the money's going in my pocket, but just because I am a representative of that shop, and it reflects me as well as I reflect it.
Right, and you feel you should. Yep. Great thing. Great. That's big. So for you guys out there, Barber College Success brought to you by Craig Charles of Crown Cutz Academy, JC, Crown Cutz Academy, Bristol, and Craig's Crown Cutz Barbershop, downtown Johnson City. And my co-host,
Ammi Fields. Ammi, your barber.
Yes, sir.
So what happened to you? What'd you do this weekend? I got to hear it. We told him beginning, you'll tell us.
Yeah. This weekend I went to a Dave Chappelle show in Atlanta. It was a documentary. It was so dope.
That's crazy.
It was so dope.
Man.
I mean, this is the second one within like 3 weeks. I mean, 4 weeks.
You know how many times I watched Block Party by Dave Chappelle?
Yeah,
man.
But the dope part about this, right? It starts out with a documentary screen talking about Dave Chappelle having these comedy shows in this cornfield in Ohio, and during the pandemic, and how some people out there was just not receptive, and they were. I mean, they had like 6 feet apart. Everybody had their mask on and doing their thing. Everybody's getting checked. They were showing. But there were some people in the community who was like, man, it's vulgar. It's too loud. Blah, 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 causing the community to go down. That town, that community, that documentary, now that comedy show with people coming in, generate like $9 million.
In that town?
In that town.
That's crazy. Nobody's saying that now.
Yeah, I mean, but they were just knocking it. And Dave Chappelle did a documentary on the whole George Floyd thing and all that, and it was epic. But the best part about this, right? He said Dave Chappelle and friends. So everybody was wondering, is Dave Chappelle here? Or he just has this documentary that's going on in the screen. And I'm like, man, Dave Chappelle's not even here, man. He's gonna have a documentary. Man, I could have watched this on Netflix.
Yeah, he paid for it to stream it.
Yeah, I could have watched this on Netflix. But the funny part is, you go to a Dave Chappelle show, you can't bring your phones in.
Yeah, I knew that.
They're locked up and nobody has their phones.
A lot of comedians do that.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, man. So like you think a lot of times you think you can't be without your phone, but you without your phone for 4 hours.
You're like, man, what's going on in the game?
Yeah, exactly. But point proven is that you don't need your phone on you all that time, because if you get 4 hours without using it, you're good. End of the show. They start talking. The credits started coming up. Blah blah blah. Dave Chappelle comes out. People were walking out.
People were walking out.
Then he comes out with this like jumpsuit and started cracking jokes.
Did he stop him from walking out? Or did he say something?
Some people were already gone.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a heartbreaker.
Because a lot of people wasn't thinking he was coming. I had a conversation at the concession stand. Man, I don't think Dave Chappelle. He ain't coming. I mean, I could have watched this on Netflix.
Dave's probably under disguise.
Yeah. The dude was like, "Yeah, man, we could watch this. We could stream this." But me and the wife, Dave Chappelle comes out. People started running back.
That's crazy.
He started talking. You know what I'm saying? Doing this skit. And then the best part about this thing, right? This dude had a mini concert afterwards.
Was it like artist was there?
Usher came out.
Usher?
Jeezy came out.
Jeezy?
Monica.
I ain't heard her in a minute.
2 Chainz. 21 Savage,
and people left.
T.I. You know what I'm saying?
Did they just do like one song? Everybody
Killer
did a
Mike. They
song?
did about 2 or 3 songs.
That's crazy.
Killer Mike, T-Pain. It was epic. I mean, some of the artists I've never seen before in my life. And they came out and just like, they went crazy. Usher came out first. And I'm like, yeah, this is dope. This is dope.
That's crazy.
Then Usher, then he's singing a song. Then his duet with Jeezy came. We see the crowd went nuts.
This everybody in Atlanta came out.
The crowd went nuts. And then 2 Chainz came out. Then you started seeing Lil Jon came out.
Lil Jon was there. I've been wondering what happened to him. I didn't know.
It was. I mean, it was just like a mini summer jam, but it was all this with the documentary.
That's dope.
But a lot of people left.
I can't believe that.
That is crazy.
But they can have their phones there, so they don't know what they missed. They might still be ignorant to it. They might be listening to podcasts like, oh my God, what have I done?
A lot of people left. But it was, I think tomorrow night he's in New York. But it was Dave Chappelle and friends. I guess wherever city he goes, he kind of brings a local like artist.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
I was like, man, these dudes came out, did a mini concert.
Did it big.
It was dope.
Who was your favorite performer? All of
them. I mean, Jeezy. I've never seen Jeezy in concert.
That's a big deal. We had a snowman shirt on.
He came out with this yellow bubble jacket and was rocking it. I mean, I like 21 Savage. 21 Savage, he did his thing too.
He's all right.
He did his thing. And then, I mean, T.I. came out. He tore it up.
Oh yeah, T.I. That's his city.
He rocked it. T.I., T-Pain.
If Andre 3000 was there though, I would have lost it.
Yeah. I'm thinking Future could have came out. Migos could have came out. All those dudes from LA.
Man, that was wild. You didn't know. People just kept coming out.
Yeah. I'm thinking like, what's going on? And then I'm like, damn, we was about to leave ourselves. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's what I did this weekend.
I stayed at home and played video games.
Hey man, I wish I could have done the same, man. But it was good. It was a good experience.
It's a blessing.
So that's why I got your gift.
Is T.I. gonna come out the back? You brought T.I. here?
Hey man, I wish I could. Man. I'd have brought him up. Yeah, man. But anyway, man, we had a good time, and that's what the surprise was. Anyone out there listening? Again, check us out on YouTube, on Spotify, any major podcast platform, any major social media outlet we're on. Check us out. If you have any questions, hit us up. Hit us up with any questions that you may have, because we want feedback from you guys. We love the feedback from people who listen from all around the world, all around the country. I love the feedback. I love being able to come on the show and answer a question. I love when someone calls or send a message and says, man, I'm listening to your podcast. It keeps me going. I love it. Appreciate what you're doing. You and your co-host, Ammi, y'all doing some big things. One day I'd like to bring a guest from across the country on our podcast.
What's name one of the countries that we going? Where we at? Cambodia.
Germany. Just come in the studio. If you fly in the studio in Johnson here and you're from Germany and you say you listen to a podcast, we will put you in the podcast on a Monday. If you come into the Johnson City, Tennessee area from across the country, we'll put you in the podcast. That'll be dope.
Yep. We had the Google Translate ready.
It'll be ready on deck. But again, appreciate the love, fellas. Barber College Success. Top 25 feed spot in the country. Barber content. If you have any questions, hit us up. Hit my guy Ammi up. Send him an email. Send him a request to hit you up. And hopefully one day we could take this on the road. Just go to a country and just set up and do the podcast.
You're going to pull up on Germany.
On the road. In Australia somewhere. In China.
Man.
Just pull up. Be like, hey, you guys we got to get some Barber College Success apparel.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a hat. Lathan, he can make the podcast apparel.
We got to make Barber College Success podcast. Some apparel. I think that's going to be dope.
Yeah.
We got to do something with that. And put some red and blue in the pole. So that's it. That's it. What's your last 10 words, Ammi?
It was written.
It was written. Anything you want to say to the faint of heart who's thinking about on the borderline of how they're going to jump into a shop, what they want to do when they get out of school? Or if you're just thinking about changing careers and you just looking for advice of what to do, how to. And also the other option is if you go on their own mobile barbering, that's okay too.
That's a cheap way to do it.
Yeah, cheap way to do it.
Amen.
Still accomplish the same thing.
Follow your heart.
Yes, sir. And make it your passion. Give you all day, because your net worth Your network increases your net worth. Uh, uh, uh.